Welcome on into the Utah Blockcast. I'm Steve Bartle, Utah Insider for KSL Sports. Recording Sunday afternoon. Somehow I found time to carve out a little Utah Blockcast episode recording. Obviously, it's been a crazy couple of days, couple of weeks, to say the least. But obviously, a lot of news from Utah football this weekend with Morgan Scalley obviously taking over the helm and getting close to finalizing his coaching staff. And there have been a lot of hires, a lot of announcements this week, some familiar names, some new names. And so want to take a moment on this episode to really dive into Kevin McGiven first and foremost, and then we'll record later with with some of the other guys and dive into the rest of the coaching staff hires. But obviously with McGiven, this is a big hire as offensive coordinator of Utah football. So I enlisted some help and reached out to one Bryson Barnes, quarterback of the Utah State Aggies this past season, serving under Kevin McGiven. And given that experience this past season, I thought Bryson would be a great guest to welcome on and to share some insights into who Kevin McGiven is, sort of his offense, his scheme. And, Bryson was great and shared some other thoughts and opinions on what's going on with Utah football. So I think Utah fans are really going to enjoy hearing from Bryson. We didn't have a lot of time. I think we went about 15, 16 minutes. But I thought Bryson was great. So that's going to be the primary focus of this episode is the Bryson Barnes interview. But obviously, with everything going on, I think it's a big moment for a big period, an important period, and a stressful period for Utah football fans. And, I think it's important to, take a deep breath, because if you're a Utah football fan and you haven't felt like the last 2 weeks took a couple months, couple years off of your life, you're either lying or you turned off your phone and went ice fishing. I don't know if there's ice fishing. You're certainly not going skiing right now, but you've been absent from the online world and absent from the world. This obviously Utah football going through a significant transition, and this program has been put through the blender a little bit. Coaching changes, staff movement, ripple effects, dominoes, and a lot of rumblings about players leaving, players staying, and the back and forth. And at the last week in particular, last couple of days specifically, have been chaotic and all over the place. One day, we're feeling great, we're reacting. The next day, we're panicking, we're recalibrating. The day after day, the up and down cycle, it's been wild. And I'll be honest, moments like this are also a reminder for me in my job, personally, that, there's a standard, there's a bar, and it's not supposed to move. If anything, at a time like this, the standard for what I do and how I go about my job, the standard is supposed to go up. And so when things are changing fast, the responsible thing is to slow down, to get it right, and to add context and not just chase the latest noise, the latest murmurs, not just break news, but really go in depth and explain what the news means. And so for me, the last couple of days in particular have been a strong reminder of that. So Utah football has been pretty busy. I feel like Utah fans have grown a little bit exhausted this week. And, for me on this side of the mic, it's just a reminder that, I need to continue to be better, to be sharper and more disciplined as a reporter. I feel like I've done a decent job this week, but I know that I can constantly raise the bar. And so, for me, this week has just been a good reminder of that. And I wanted to open up with that first and foremost. Just know that I've got to be better. So appreciate everybody that has followed along, that supported, that's said nice things, that have said mean things, critical things, it's all welcomed because I know this is a pretty wild time. It's a roller coaster ride. It's all taken in, and I appreciate everybody that again follows, supports, reads, whatever. It's meant a lot. This is a big moment, and I know that I constantly need to do better. That's my goal. That's my task. That's what drives me to keep doing what I do. So, again, appreciate everybody. But let's dive into the actual news this weekend. So, Utah and Morgan Scalley have made a few announcements, and it started yesterday. Well, it started with Colton Swan being announced as the defensive coordinator, one of the worst kept secrets of the last few weeks. A couple of people let it slip. Eric Weddle, Trey Reynolds, looking at you first and foremost. It was well assumed, but obviously made official this week. Colton Swan, the new defensive coordinator of Utah football. He'll continue to coach the linebackers, obviously, but a pretty significant move for him, and he's earned it. With what he's done with that linebacking crew, and just his influence on the defense overall. I think there's a lot of excitement about Swan and what he's going to be able to do as the new coordinator of this Utah football defense. Getting into Saturday, the next hire that was announced was Derek Odom, returning to the program after serving as the defensive coordinator and associate head coach of San Jose State. He returns to Utah, where he previously coached, previously played as the safeties coach. And to have somebody in that role with the experience that he's gained, I think is going to be really significant for Scalley, who now, he has to step away from his responsibilities as safeties coach. That's his baby, right? But I think there's a lot of trust in Odom, who knows this program, knows the culture here, and I think having that experience will be significant for that group. So, it'll be interesting to see what sort of adjustments are made, what sort of twist he adds to that safety group, what impact he has in terms of who they like to identify at safety. It's not going to change dramatically, but Odom again has familiarity with the program, the culture here, and I think he's going to be able to take the torch from Scalley at that spot specifically and do a lot of good things. Following the announcement of Derek Odom, it was announced Kevin McGiven as offensive coordinator of Utah football. And this one, obviously, we know what's transpired over the last couple of days. Marcus Arroyo was all the buzz Friday night, Thursday, and Bennett and I hosted a space Friday evening, and we had Eric Weddle, Kenneth Scott, and a lot of the talk centered around Arroyo. As we got to the second half of the space, I was a little concerned with the commentary around Arroyo, and I tried to push back as best I could to just say, hey, his name is the buzz right now, but there's no indication of how close this is to being done. And so I tried. I don't know that I was loud enough and pushed back strong enough on that front. So I know that people left that space feeling like Arroyo was going to be the guy. And to then see the announcement of Kevin McGiven Saturday afternoon caught a lot of people by surprise. And again, this sort of gets back to my opening and needing to be responsible and better in my job. And that's been the big learning lesson for me. So with McGiven, obviously initial shock, I understand the feelings and the reactions to the name because it came out of nowhere and all of that. But as you started to dive into some of the numbers and his experience, his background, yes, it's not coming from a power conference level. It's not coming from, a big time program. It's coming from Utah State. But McGiven and that offense, there are a lot of interesting things that you start to learn as you do the deep dive into what he did at Utah State and what he's done previously at San Jose State. And so, there's a lot of success. There's different forms of success. He's had passing attacks that have been, among the best in the country. He's had a couple of seasons where the rushing attack has done a lot of the heavy lifting. And so I think that's a big thing where you have a coordinator that can be adaptable. And that's something that Barnes, who you're going to hear from here shortly, kind of stressed is that he is adaptable. So, following the news of McGiven being announced as the coordinator, Utah then announced Jordan Gross as the offensive line coach. And, Gross returning to the program. I'm really excited to see this. Obviously, he lacks college coaching experience, but he spent the last 4 or 5 years at Fruitland High School, where, if you look and follow Kelvin Obot and his development as an offensive lineman from his sophomore to senior year, there's a lot of improvement. He's coming in technically sound, a great athlete, a great explosive, big frame type of kid, but his development technically and fundamentally, I think, is really impressive. And Gross, he's a sharp cat. He's smart. And with his experience and background being an all-pro offensive tackle, the knowledge of that position is deep. And so he's going to have to learn. He's going to have to prove some things. But I think there should be a good amount of optimism in his ability to teach and develop young athletes. So I'm willing to bet on it based on what I've seen from Kelvin Obot and his development. And I think come into the program, spent time around the program the last week or so, and has gotten to know a lot of the linemen in the program, and we'll see what impact he has moving forward. So that was announced Saturday night, and then Sunday morning, Chad Bumpus, a familiar name for Utah fans, as he served as the receivers coach during Utah's 2 Pac-12 championship seasons. He now returns to Salt Lake City after 3 years with Mississippi State, and I'm pretty intrigued by this hire. This is not somebody that I would have considered because I figured he's been here already, but I think it says a lot of the relationship that Bumpus and Scally had, the respect that the two have for one another, that he is coming back to Utah. I remember Devon Vele and Money Park talking highly of the of Bumpus. Sorry, I'm getting some updates here. Sorry. Of Bumpus and his ability to coach and teach and develop. And you saw that translate in 2022. You saw that with Vele and just his continued path and what he was able to do. So I think this is pretty significant. And that sounds like Utah is set to hire Enoke Brechterfield as the school's defensive end coach, which again, getting back to Jason Kafusi and that being the buzz Friday night, things started to change, and now Enoke Brechterfield is announced as the new defensive ends coach. He comes to Utah from Oregon State. He spent time with UCLA, Washington, and Pittsburgh prior to that. So some breaking news there while I'm recording. But again, so I'll go ahead. I'll wrap this up. My thoughts here. I'll get Bryson Barnes, and I think, again, Utah fans will enjoy hearing from Bryson. All right. Fortunate enough to welcome on this next guest, the man, the myth, the legend, the pig farmer himself, Bryson Barnes. Live from, where are you at? Logan, where are you at?
I'm down in Beaver, Utah now.
Beaver, Utah, man. Real life setting in. And speaking of real life, you've welcomed a 2-year-old. You've got a 2-month-old, got a new baby. How's life? How's the daddy doing? How's the daddy duty going for you, dude?
No, it's going great, man. Like, it's just cool to kind of, like, never would I have ever thought I was going to have a kid during college football. Like, especially at the quarterback position, the demands of the position with the film work and everything that goes on outside of just the regular meeting time. I thought there was no way I'd ever have a kid during this time. And then, obviously me and my wife were talking. It was better for us and our kind of future to do it now. And so, like, having a half of the season where I didn't have him and then ending the other half of the season with him, it was just cool to kind of see us how, like, we made it work, like, instead of my film study happening from like 10 to 1, it's happened from like 11 to 1:30 in the middle of the night. And so it's been cool. It's been fun, but yeah, it's great.
That's awesome, dude. Well, shout out to the wife. Hopefully family is doing well and all that. That's great. And again, like, to your point, you guys are busy. College football athletes are busy. Your time is occupied from day to night. So
Mhm.
that's tremendous that you guys were able to manage that. And yeah, dude. So just obviously, Utah fans love you, appreciate you, what you gave to the program. You did a lot for Utah during that last stint here in 2023. You went up to Logan and had a great run up there. Just kind of describe to us the 2 years up there, and we'll dive into this past season because obviously, want to get your thoughts on
Yeah.
Utah's new offensive coordinator Kevin McGiven, but just kind of talk to us about how your experience has been up there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the question kind of came around a lot because I've really enjoyed my time up there in Logan. Like that was a really good fit for me and especially my wife. Like it kind of gave us that rural type feeling again, the way we grew up. And so just kind of like the environment aspect of everything really felt great. And I mean, obviously, like I went up there and it wasn't sunshine and rainbows. I mean, like I was not the guy when I went up there for let's say 80-90% of the season
Yeah.
until the starter got hurt again. Like so like I didn't go up there and it was just all peachy for me, and but it's just been great. I just feel like the biggest lesson, the biggest thing I've taken away from college football is just being resilient and just continuing to press forward regardless of the circumstances that you're in, and taking what you have and just going with it with everything you've got. And so yeah, then obviously I feel like everything kind of came to a point with Bronco coming in being my head coach. I couldn't have handpicked a better head coach for my senior year. Like I wish I could have played with that guy for 5 years. Like I love everything that he does, the way he coaches, the way he holds dudes accountable, the way he runs his program, everything about him. Like I'm just super grateful to have him. And then obviously the cherry on top is an offensive coordinator who I've really, really enjoyed my time with. And obviously he's down there now, and I'm so excited for him because I had an absolute blast with him this last year.
That's great to hear. And obviously, Utah going through a major transition right now with the program. Kyle Whittingham moving on, and Morgan Scalley taking over. And there's a lot of excitement about Scalley, and him being a true Utah man. And would just be curious your thoughts on this transition because it is such a big deal here in the state.
Yeah, I'm so fired up. That's the only way I can describe this is like my OC making a big move, and I really enjoyed my time with him. So nothing but happy for him. But at the same time, like my relationship with Scally, like he was the one in contact with me coming out of high school. Like he's the one that what kind of won me over to get me to walk on at the U was he shot me a phone call after I finished up a visit at Utah State, and I was down in Brigham City on my way back home. We stopped at the Costa Vida, and Scally shot me a call from Florida. He was at the Super Bowl with his son, and
Yeah.
shot me a call, and it was like, okay, that's where I've got to be. And so like I got a great relationship with kind of both the guys that are kind of taking head of the U right now. And like I just like Scally, big culture guy, and just
Yeah.
has a big heart, cares about his players, and it just fires me up with all of it coming together.
That's great, dude. So let's talk about your former OC, Kevin McGiven, announced as the offensive coordinator Saturday night. And obviously, the reaction, people not knowing who he is, I think caught a lot of
Mhm.
people off guard. But once you start to dive into the numbers and his experience and background, there's a lot to like. And
Yes.
obviously, given you and your experience with him, you're raving about him. So just kind of describe, first of all, Kevin McGiven, the person, and then we'll dive into some of the schemes and all that stuff.
Man, the first thing that kind of came to my mind, he's like a jokester, man. He loves to joke around with the dudes. Always teasing people, joking around. Like, and I think that's what makes it so fun is like you got a dude that he is all about ball. He's all about the X's and O's, and what he does works. But at the same time, he's very personable and he cares about the relationships that he makes. Like there'd be times where I swear and I'm not sure about the exact on this, but it was like 2 a.m. He's getting to the facility. And he like goes around to all the coaches' offices and has a video going. He goes, "Oh, I thought we loved ball. Like, where's everybody at?" It's like, bro, it's 2 a.m. And it's not even like the other coaches were getting there late. Like they were still getting there at 5:30 in the morning. And he's just there at 2 a.m. Like, where's everybody at? And so like he's hilarious. Like it's yeah, just so personable. But Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll get into like the football talk with this dude, but yeah, that's how he is as a person.
So, I mean, obviously you bring that up, and that's actually funny because I was going to ask, what was your like your first moment where you're like, oh, this guy knows ball moment with McGiven? Like, when did you like know like this guy knows what he's talking about?
Oh, so it was maybe like the second conversation I had with him because my first one was kind of like breaking the ice, like, "Hey, what's up? This is who I am. Do you guys want to keep me here at Utah State?" type conversation. And then the second one, I was because everybody's so eager. Like, I mean, we had a great quarterback room, and everybody was so eager to learn. It was honestly great. And so I go to ask him. I can't even remember. It was literally just like where guys line up in formations, and there was like three concepts in like a drive series, and I was like, "Hey, like, it kind of explain this part to me." I kid you not. Okay, it was two questions. I can't remember. Oh, it was Kahanu Davis, who was one of our receivers. He was there with me that night. And what was a two-question thing? So I had a receiver in there. We were both trying to learn the offense, right? What came into like two questions turned into an hour and a half conversation. He just started going, and we're just like, what do we even do right now? Like, you're trying to write down everything the dude's saying, and that was another. Yeah, so that was my first experience, first quarterback meeting. Then same thing happened. We're sitting there trying to write down everything he's saying, and dude, he just kept going and going. It was like, okay, this dude, he's got a mind for this stuff. And then obviously, yeah, the more we get into it, but it was
That's cool.
hilarious.
Yeah, just being able to talk and go on. Like, I
Dude,
think that speaks to the knowledge, the depth of knowledge
yes,
that these guys have. So, if you had to describe, his offensive philosophy in, a couple of sentences, what is it?
adaptable. I think that's how I would term it because there was some. I mean, just go turn on the tape to what we were doing this last
Yeah.
year, like our run schemes and our RPO game and the versatility with what we were doing because trying to play to our strengths, like it was unbelievable. And like there were just certain things we were doing where it was like, okay, like this dude is in his bag, like let's go. And yeah, it was yeah, but I would definitely say adaptability and playing to the strengths of his players.
Gotcha. So, you had a great season this year, over 2,800 yards, 18 touchdowns through the air. You also ran it quite a bit. Like, I think you finished, 750 yards, double digit touchdowns on the ground. Bro, you were Mr. Do It All up there. So if you kind of had to get into the offense at its core, right? Beyond just the philosophy of being adaptable, like talk to us about the scheme. What does it look like? How did you feel operating in it, and how do you feel like it would translate here at Utah with what they have at the quarterback position and the personnel here?
Yes. So I feel like just to kind of branch off on the personnel thing, with how adaptable it is, like he's going to play to the strengths of his players. Like that's a given. With me running the football, like yeah, I ended up running for 750 yards. And but then you also look at like his previous track record, he's got 3,000-yard passers in there as well. And so it's like, yeah, I'm
I mean, you were
setting
only 200 yards off, Bryson.
and yeah, like you take a few holding penalties away, like yeah, I'm probably 1,000-yard rusher as a quarterback. And so it's like yeah, it's just like him being able to play to his strengths of the team and kind of remind me what the question was again so I can keep going off it.
Just sort of at the core, right? What is his offense? We talked about the
Okay,
philosophy of
yes,
being
yes,
adaptable,
yes,
but what is the scheme? What is the core of the offense?
yes. And so this is why I felt really comfortable in this offense because he has the West Coast like style. There's the progression based system and that pro
Yeah.
style feel to it, but then he also has a lot of run and shoot principles. So like kind of like those air raid and the like the whole. So it's like you've got a mix of well, how I termed it in my head was a mix of Ludwig system and then a mix of the RPO system that I ran
Hmm.
last year. And so to me, like this fell right in between the middle of both, and to me it took the best aspects of both of the offenses that I ran previously, which is why I think I had the success that I did because I fell right into the middle of it. But it's just so wide ranging, and like it's all depending on upon personnel. Like there were times when we were in 10 personnel, and we spent some parts of the season in 30 personnel. We had a drive against
Wow.
Texas A&M where we drove down. It was the drive we drove down the field and scored against A&M because we were in 30 personnel, but then we were in 2 by 2 split out wide, running just regular inside zone, running pass concepts off of it because we had three running backs that could really go get the work done, and A&M is trying to figure out how do we even guard this personnel, and so it's like he just he's great, dude. I'm telling you.
So you mentioned, there's bits of the Ludwig offense where it's more pro style.
Mhm.
There's the RPO stuff, and with that, did you have freedom at the line of and obviously freedom within the structure of the offense, but did you have freedom to check into things at the line of scrimmage and check out of things? Like,
Yes.
just kind of describe us as you're walking up, just sort of understanding the offense and what it is. Just how much freedom did you have on the field to adjust things?
To me it was like a quarterback's best friend playing for him. Like we would so the check stuff, if we have a check system and we'd be able to, if we didn't like what the defense was kind of giving us on a two-man side, we could give a two-man route concept. If I've got a single lined up into the boundary and I wanted to give him something and the chemistry's there, he goes, do it.
Yeah.
And then, but like the other part was like we go throughout the week in a game plan, and I think this was another thing that just really stood out to me about him is, I feel like sometimes with offensive coordinators they can get kind of egotistical with the way they want to, like this plays in because of this, like period. And it was like, hey coach, I'm not really feeling this. Like, is there any way we can run this type of RPO concept on this, or is there any way we can find a way to get this guy into this area? And he go, yep, all right, yeah, let's do it. And dude, like, yeah, it was great. It's a quarterback's best friend. Like, you go in like, coach, I really don't know how I feel about this. Like, okay, what do we got to do? What do you feel like we need to do right here? And as long as you have like your reasonings behind it, like, let's put it on the call sheet and set hut. Like, it was great.
So pretty collaborative then, right? Like working hand in
Very.
hand with you and getting feedback. I think that's a big thing, for quarterbacks. So let me ask you this: did his system and the way that he coached things, was it about simplifying the reads for the quarterback, or was it about trying to get you to process faster, working through your progressions faster? Did he have sort of do you do you feel like it leaned one way or the other? Was it simplifying routes, or was it trying to help you to teach you and actually coach you how to go through progressions?
I feel like there's both of that, and there's a lot of access side and concept side. And, if you don't like your access or the access isn't there, don't worry about it because your concept sides. If we make the right reads on that concept side, somebody's going to be open. So trust it. And so like it's yeah, it is simplifying in a way, but it's also like that. That's how you should read a play. And I think, kind of carrying that. I mean, San Jose. So he was at San Jose previously, and kind of what they
Yep.
ran this year is very similar to the obviously what he has in his bag. And I mean, yeah, they're throwing for over. I think I can't remember what that Walker was throwing for during that time
It was quite a
this
bit.
year.
Yeah.
He was until he got banged up towards the end of the year. I mean,
Right.
he was like leading the country in passing, and so it's like he has that in his bag. And yeah, yeah, dude. Yeah,
You're just excited for him. I
bro.
love it, dude. Like, that's what
I'm
keeps coming out. It's just that excitement for it.
fired up, dude. Fired up.
I love that. So let me ask you this, Bryson. What did he like? Where do you feel like you developed the most under him
Oh,
with your game?
it's got to be just being able to get through the progressions and just seeing the field. I feel like, and I would say even just understanding defenses as well. Like this dude, he's a passing guy. He's a pass guy first. That was one of the things he said in the first my first meeting with him was like his mind relies on the pass. And when he would talk about like rules of defenses, and it's like, hey, look, this is what they're in, but trust this because this guy's job is to take number 3 vertical, or this guy's job is to take number 2 vertical, which is going to open up ABC or whatever. You know what I mean? So I would say like I really learned a lot about like the rules of defenses and how concepts attack certain defenses, and in turn helped me get through my progressions much faster because if I started getting lift by certain defenders, boom, check down right now. Like that was something we talked about a lot. Yeah, first play against UNLV, we ran a play action pass. We anticipated being able to get this shot off, and I mean, they ended up getting lift, and it was immediately to the back, and it was I can't remember what kind of drop it would have been turned, but like by my third step in a hitch, I'm hitting a check down because that's the way we were coached to do it, and that's what showed up on tape, and we went out and executed on the field.
Gotcha, man. So, how would you describe him? Like as a teacher, right? We talk a lot about these guys and coaching and all that, but teaching the game. How does he go about it? Right? Are you guys watching a lot of film together? Are you breaking
Mhm.
down on the whiteboard? Just how does he go about teaching the game to you?
I feel like it's got to be a little bit of both. I mean, when we would kind
Yeah.
of put in concepts, and sometimes, I mean, there was a time actually in the summer, he put together a little mini script during the summer, and he made it so hard. He goes, "I knew you guys were gonna fail. I wanted to see how you guys were going to kind of react to it." And because I'm fired up, man. Like I wanted this script to be perfect, and he kind of threw some new plays at us.
Yeah.
And so, like, you go out there, you're trying to get things perfect, and he's like, "Yeah, I knew you guys were gonna fail. I just wanted to kind of see how you guys were gonna handle it." And so I feel like there's the whiteboard, talking about it on the board, watching the film, and then going out to the field. And I think he just lets you go out there and play. And it's like, hey, listen, you take this out on the field, apply it to on the field, and then we'll look at it and kind of see where we missed the mark and where we need to grow. And then yeah, I bring up that scenario with him, creating ways for us to fail and continuing to push our knowledge and our abilities by doing things that are just really hard.
Gotcha. No, that's cool. That's pretty cool, man. Well, Bryson, I know we've gone a little bit past the 15 minutes. I told you we would, but this has been great, dude. I think
Dude.
I think there's going to be a growing excitement for McGiven as we continue to dive into what he's all about. If
Hmm.
you had to if you had to share one thing that people absolutely have to know about Coach McGiven, whether it's who he is as a person or as a coach or his scheme, what's the one thing people need to know about Kevin McGiven?
He's gonna find a way for explosive plays. We were very
People love
explosive on
that.
offense. Everybody loves explosive plays, and I mean, you just go look at our numbers from this year. We were
Yeah.
we were up there with one of the most explosive teams in the country, and we only had. I mean, unfortunately, we only had 6 wins, but their explosive plays were out there, and explosive plays translate to wins.
That's awesome. Well, Bryson, dude, hope you're doing well. Transition into the next phase of life, being a dad and all that sort of stuff, man. I know people continue to love you and respect you and follow you, as well. And so hope you're doing well, man. Thanks so much for hopping on and giving us some time and enlightening us on Utah's new offensive coordinator, man.
Yes, sir, man. I'm fired up. I'm fired up.
All right, dude. Appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir.